And every day I felt like Grandma Webb. I'm just like, seriously, like I thought I was the Wunderkind at one point in my life, and now I'm like Grandma Webb.
S.J. Clarkson, welcome to the Phase Zero podcast. We've been looking forward to this one.
Thank you. Me too. It's so nice to meet you all.
Our pleasure. Thank you for hanging with us.
Of course.
Oh, let's dive into it. So
this
exciting.
Is, by the way, just for anybody listening, this will have spoilers for Madame Web in it. We will release the non-spoilery stuff before the movie. If you're listening to this in its entirety, that means you've seen Madame Web already and you're listening to us dissect the movie with director S.J. Clarkson.
No spoilers here. No spoilers until after the movie.
Exactly.
Exactly. Hello, I'm Jamie. And I'm curious because this is not your first bout with Marvel. You've directed episodes of Jessica Jones and The Defenders. How did this experience differ for you?
Well, it's obviously a big, massive movie, so that's kind of different. But, I must say that I'm so grateful that I got to dip my toe into the Marvel Universe with JJ because, I had a little bit of a foundation there. I had a little bit of familiarity with it. I was able to play around with, this other sassy woman who's a little bit abrasive. So I was able to bring a little bit of that to it, but obviously for me, when I first got the script, I found it the potential of someone using their mind as a superpower intriguing and something that I hadn't seen before. So that's really what drew me to it.
Actually, this isn't the next question we have written down. I can't believe we didn't even write this down. But with starting in Jessica Jones and Defenders, would love your thoughts. The fact that a lot of those folks are coming back to Marvel, are you hoping to go direct them ever again?
Oh, listen, if I get the call, let me know.
That would be awesome.
Yes.
No, but back to Madame Web here. This is an interesting group of characters that you chose as the roster because in comics, they do interact sometimes, but it's very rare for them to get an opportunity to have, this level of teamwork together. I'd love to hear about landing on the team of Cassie, Julia, Maddie, and Anya as the Spider-Woman you used in Madame Web.
Well, I think, first of all, I got sent a script with a lot of this in it already, so I have to share the credit with it. I can't just sit and go, it was all me. There's a lot of brilliant brains behind pulling this together, not to mention the wonderful creators of Madame Web. But I just thought how exciting to take a character on the periphery, right, and make her the center, and then find other characters that are sort of characters in their own right, front and center, and bring them together as a team and figure out how that sort of all came together and where that might lead in the future was just a really exciting prospect.
It's interesting how the three girls don't fully have their origin stories yet in this movie. We only really see visions of them as the Spider Women. Is that something you were ever going to explore in this movie? Did you have visions of how that might unfold?
Well, I thought it would be a bit greedy, to do 4 origin stories. That's not really fair, is it? I got to share it. Come on. First and foremost, it's Madame Web, right? But I hope the exciting thing about it is this is a tease, and I think the origin story of the girls are, we're given hopefully a sort of a hint of the spirit of who they are. We've tried to stick to the spirit from the comic books and draw from that and find out who they are and get a little bit of their sass and a little bit of their character coming through. But that's a lot of story to tell, I think, in one. And I think it wouldn't do any of them justice to try and sort of crowbar or cram it all into one movie, right? So I think it's Madame Web's and here's kind of the development of something else underneath it. But yeah, I thought that was probably a bit too greedy. They'd be like, get out. You've already done JJ. Now Madame Web. And now all of them, no. Give someone else a chance.
Well, speaking about sort of carrying this torch forward, Cassie gets to wear a full Madame Web suit by the end of the movie. I was wondering about that. I'm like, how is she going to move with no feet? But you did manage to sort of work in elements of that costume too, because Dakota was really excited because it's got flared pants. Can you guys talk about the suit? Can we talk about that?
Yeah, she borrowed mine. She went through my wardrobe and she went, "This is fabulous," and I said, "We can fit in it." But we managed to squeeze her in. So, no, that's the genius of Nyla Dixon. Okay, you just get Nyla Dixon, who of course did Lord of the Rings, Oscar winning for that, and she's an amazing costume designer. And is about character, and she trawled through those comics and sort of drew out the best bits and everything else. But I think because the movie started in the 1970s, and DJ's jacket, Cassandra's jacket is actually based on a vintage 1973 jacket that we tried on her that we absolutely loved. And then 24 hours before production started, as I do, had an 11th hour idea. I went, wouldn't it be great if that was red? And Nyla looked at me in that sort of pained way that she does, but she knew it was a good idea. And so the tailors, God bless them, spent the next 24 hours, like, with glasses and sewing hand by hand this jacket. So it felt like, the costume itself, when she does eventually get to put on, the big suit, she was like, forget your jumpsuit, I'm going to have my own. And so we then sort of kitted her out on this one that definitely had some sort of nod to the 70s. I love the 70s. 70s films have always been my influence. So anytime I can get a pair of flares on, I'm in.
I love it. I love that you guys use practical costumes. I feel like superhero films in general, or a lot of films, when they can get away from practical stuff, they're starting to just lean into CGI. Can you talk about that decision to have Nyla's incredible work, getting to bring these Spider Women, and Ezekiel Sims suit to life instead of choosing to computerize them?
I think it's like everything I've tried to do with the film. And I come from theatre originally, which is all smoke and mirrors. It's all about sort of creating the illusion on stage. And so even with the clairvoyance itself, most of it was in camera. It's me with a diopter and a flashlight and splicing through it, and then editorially chipping around at it. And I wanted to keep as much of it grounded as possible. We use the word organic a lot, but I think what that's sort of representing is a feeling that it's real, that it's grounded, that it's accessible, because sometimes it isn't accessible, but like you could get that costume, which I think is so cool. And it often bemuses me where they just sort of pop onto these costumes, because it sort of takes it out of the reality for me, So, and also just as a director, to see your cast come out dressed as superheroes, I mean, thank God I was wearing a mask, because I was grinning from ear to ear. I was so excited beyond belief. I think I might have welled up a bit, but obviously I didn't want people to see that. I'm British, we don't cry. So I was just like, I'm not emotional at all. You look really good. You look all right. It's all right, like that. But honestly, I was like the Cheshire Cat, grinning from ear to ear, welling up, going, look at how amazing this cast look.
That's amazing. That's so cool. Our first look at the full Madame Web costume, it came on that ocean spray bottle. And there's always like, it's either a Lego set or it's like with these Marvel movies, there's always a way that there's snipers on set with their long lens photography. What happens, like, you guys, I know everybody goes to extreme lengths to try to protect these looks and these secrets and these images. So what happens on the day when that gets out in the world? Is that like, oh, cool, people are seeing it? Or is it like, now we got to find our way to reveal this? Like, what happens that day?
I don't think I'm allowed to say what I feel on that day, because I think it'll be like bleep, 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 because you just... for the fans, you're so excited about making this. You want the fans to see it and love it. And, people have then looked up this character and what are they going to do with it? How are we going to make it different, and what they're going to look like. And, we walk around, they have to wear these grey capes on set and, that, covering themselves up. And you try and it's secretive because you want it to be such an experience, right? Because otherwise we just go, oh, look at this, look at this. You want to kind of allow the audience to really enjoy it as it should be. So, look, it's always upsetting when that happens. But look, what's the old adage? No publicity, all publicity is good publicity, or something like that. So yes, I guess it's great. But, for me, I just really want, the audience to see it as it should be in the movie and for it to come when it comes, because it's quite a special moment when it does.
Listen, I get it. I feel like I've seen all of Deadpool 3 already and the trailer's not even here. So.
Right?
Oh. I want to bring up Ezekiel Sims a bit and talk about how there are a few times referencing his backstory and how he comes from nothing. How thoroughly did you flesh out his past as a villain, and did the film cut any of that out?
Look, I think again, a little bit like what we talked about with the spiders earlier. You want to give as much time as you can, but also I want the movie to be streamlined and feel like it's agile and keep propelling you forward. That there's a propulsion to it that I really wanted, and I felt that Tahara and I talked about it quite a lot, about how much we can get in, how much we can see of it. And I felt the opening at least gave an insight into him and sort of into the immediacy of him as a character, and I think by setting the stall out, and it's also like, unless you're going to really explore that, we had ideas of how we might show that, how might we have flashbacks for him, but I'm like, hang on. We've got clairvoyance and he's got a nightmare. And if I start doing flashbacks, like, what am I going to do for the flashbacks? This is a whole thing going on. And then it felt like it was going to be a scene of dialogue describing it more. And I was like, I felt that Tahar is so strong as an actor. His conviction in the performance and the psychology of his kind of like wrestle with Ezekiel and needing to survive. I felt that was just so potent and sort of evident that it didn't need it. I mean, he carries so much of that by the depth of what he brings to the screen, So, could I have spent more time on him? Without doubt. I could have spent more time on all of them. But, you're trying to cherry pick the best bits to make it the best ride possible so that, you know, everyone can go on the journey, enjoy the movie and the narrative for what this narrative is, and then allow time for other things later on, maybe.
He did have such a good presence on screen, and his voice lends itself to a good villain. When I sat across from him for the interview, I was like, please don't hurt me. Please don't.
Yeah, but he's the loveliest man, isn't he? He's so,
yes, absolutely.
so nice. It's always the good guys that play the best villains.
Yeah, I do have a question because I've noticed a lot of the Sony Marvel movies, they keep them pretty tight. They keep them close to 90 minutes, hour 45. This one comes in under 2 hours. I would just love to hear, working within like the studio world of Marvel and Sony and all that, was there ever like we want, let's keep it this runtime, or do you just kind of get freedom to tell the story as you want to?
I think it was more me wanting it to be, I wanted to keep it sort of svelte and streamlined and because I know I like going to the movies and wanting more, and I felt, you don't want to sort of outstay your welcome, I like to say, you know what I mean? You want to be able to sort of like go on the ride and kind of like leave them wanting more in a way, so I like to keep it quite sort of, streamlined, I think, but yeah, there's always wrestling about you can add more and, but I'd rather sort of do that concertina in within scenes and try and help that rather than the movie itself, You don't want it to be too fat in places,
We were talking about scary things earlier. One of the scariest things about the movie with the scary bits is that it's like effectively a 2003 like period piece, and it's always scary to see things that you lived through be retro. Is there anything that our younger actresses like Isabella and Sydney and them did not understand that you had to explain to them? Because they
listen, every day I felt like Grandma Webb. I'm just like seriously, like I thought I was the Wunderkind at one point in my life, and now I'm like Grandma Webb, like every. I'm telling you now. And I was like, what do you mean? It wasn't that long ago that we had these phones. It wasn't that long ago. I mean, I do remember Celeste saying to me when we're talking about what was going to be on the radio in the room where they wake up. So spoiler. And I was like, I'm not sure yet. And I played some music and she was like, why am I saying the line, what is this? Played the music that I played. Got the line. Celeste was like, I know how to read this line. Yeah, no problem. So I was like, but they'd never heard Tiffany before. And I was like, wow. I know my crew, even the boys were singing it. I'm telling you now, I should have turned that, the camera the other way on them. They were all singing along when that was playing. Because they're all my age. They were like, yeah, we were at the disco to this disco. Hear me now, Grandma Webb.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So all right, we'll get off that. We'll get off the scary bits.
This was kind of scary, actually.
It kind of is, because I noticed that.
Yeah, no. The grey hair's scary because this wasn't here like, before I started this job. That is what's scary.
That's what they call earning your stripes.
That's right.
Thank you very much. And they're all here.
How did you capture Ezekiel like walking on the ceiling? Because like you notice in the background while they're talking, he just scampering away. It's very unnerving.
I know, right? It's I love that. I think I was inspired by that scene. Is it Exorcist 3? Where the doctor's there and the old lady's going along the ceiling. It's just like one of the most eerie things ever. And again, do as much as you can practically, right? Because then, on the train station, I think that might have been a CG one. But like as much as I could, I would get Tahar/Remy, the stunt double, up. And he was actually upside down in the diner. That was all rigged with wires because I think it feels more real. There's a kind of like a weight to a real human that's hard to sort of recreate. So yeah, I sort of always wanted that sort of creeping up on you and just there as a presence in the background, right? Because that's sometimes more nerving when you know it's coming rather than just keep jump scaring all the time.
Speaking of, yes, it did. This is part of our spoiler section. Spoiler alert. Peter Parker's born in this movie. And I feel like that's huge. And the timeline suggests that this would be Tom Holland's version since Andrew and Tobey are too old. But Tom's version of Peter, his canon birthday is 2001. Should we consider this an alternate version or am I overthinking it? Are we overthinking this?
Well, first of all, I don't think we ever say the name. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm just saying,
okay.
We're gonna be fair. Like, if we're gonna like lay it out, I don't think we say the name. I would definitely say that Madame Web is in a universe of her own.
Got it. Love that.
There's a reason for the grey hair. There's a reason for the grey hair.
Okay. All right. So with that, there's no post-credit scene as its own movie, which kind of goes against the grain here. Did you ever have ideas for something you wanted to stick at the end?
We played around with some stuff, but again, I kind of felt like we'd said everything. But it was almost like, again, because I don't want to go into spoiler turf, but the way the story ended, and then we have an ending, and then something, right? I felt that I was kind of given the something in the end, if you know what I mean. So when you watch it, you see, because it's like there's the scene where we sort of end, and then there's another thing, and then there's this scene, which could have been it. But then because she has clairvoyance, I was able to see it in the movie because she saw that credit scene earlier. So we might as well just have it up front.
Now I know exactly what you're talking
right?
about.
Do you see what I'm saying? When she says, yep, the thing and the
Yeah.
thing and that. Yeah. So I was like, we might be done. I didn't want to outstay my welcome.
Touching exactly on that, you've said you want to leave them wanting more, and this movie absolutely sets up a sequel that I very much am ready. Let me have it. Or is that something that you want to make? Or do you want to make a potential follow-up? Do you know what it would be? Do you have the vision?
I don't have clairvoyance, unfortunately. So I can't answer that. I'd have to ask Cassandra Webb. But like, I finished this on Friday. It was kind of like right to the wire. We delivered it. And so I'm definitely ready for a vacation. But I think these characters will definitely sort of live on in me for a long time. It's been such a big part of my life, such a privilege. I've just loved, working with this amazing cast, this amazing character back in the Marvel, world, and through the comic books has been, truly, truly such a privilege and a joy. So, I'm so grateful for that. And, if they knock on my door, I'll let you know.
Awesome.
Cool.
S.J. Clarkson, it is absolutely our pleasure to have you on Phase Zero today. Aaron, Jamie, thank you so much for co-hosting this interview with me. Thank you, Sony and Madame Web, everybody. If you have anything else you want to talk about, send us your way. Thanks, S.J.
So amazing to meet you guys. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.